Okay, thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Road Advisory Committee, November 13th, 2024. Oh, and here's Chris. Let's make it read. Okay. Oh, call to order. What time?
6:30.
6:30. Great. Bob, could you do roll call, please?
David?
Yes.
Patrick?
I just turned the oven on.
Present.
Carol?
Present.
Ian?
Present.
Gillian?
Present.
Linda?
Present.
Here? And Chris is here.
Present.
Did everybody get a chance to go through the agenda?
Mhm.
Is there anything you want to change? Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move to adopt.
Seconded.
Well, I guess we're all.
All in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The last one that didn't say anything the first time. This is time for public comments. And we have one person attending. No? Come on, Judy.
Thank you for your service.
Well, yeah, and Judy, you were just elected to the board,
Yeah.
so congratulations,
Oh.
and
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
thank you for attending all these meetings and getting caught up.
To the residents for electing good people.
Yay.
And you guys, all public servants, actually.
Anyone online?
Yeah, I'm.
Oh, and also all support and all the support that people have given to Jillian through the trials and tribulations that Jillian has had over this past few months. That has been very supportive of her, and I think it's probably
a year in 2 days.
an emotional situation. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, the support has been amazing. I'm so grateful.
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
Public comments on Zoom.
Yeah, well,
Cookies, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to say.
There's just a couple of us, we just sit up here.
there are no raised hands online at the moment.
Hi there, how are you? Good. Just in time for public comments.
Okay, well, my public comment is just to thank all of you so much for paving the beginning of Park Ridge Drive. Can I walk up and give you cookies?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a rule against that?
You just made our street so much more pleasant, and I just can't get over what a difference in all of our lives it makes. So thank you, thank you. You all worked so hard, and especially you, Jillian. Thank you so much. So that's my public comment.
Hopefully your husband will be speeding up and down the pavement now.
No, it's just wonderful. I can't get over it. It's perfect.
I did drive through there just to check out
Isn't it great?
so smooth,
I know.
just amazing.
I know, so just you as a committee, just maybe you sometimes wonder, do you really make a difference? Yes. Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Oh, this is
Perfect.
Joanne, is there some law against us? Given by the,
maybe.
Well, it's already happened.
But-
The thing that, if she was driving us to do something, that would be different.
okay.
The event has already occurred, so.
My conscience is clear. I thought the rule was if you can eat it, it's okay.
Wow.
Yes.
You guys watching out there?
They wish they were in person now. Judy, would you like a cookie?
Some of us are regretting our decisions to stay home.
Ron, you live real close, you can get over it.
Yeah, you can.
We have,
You miss her hand up.
Okay.
one raised hand from Pam Boyd. Pam, if you'd like to go ahead.
Thank you. I want to say how excited I am for the resident on is Park Ridge to bring you cookies because watching you guys from the very inception and there was a learning curve and what you guys are now doing for residents, I 100% approve of residents bringing you guys cookies because you're doing a great job. So yes, that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I too regret not being a chip alternate.
Here you go, you can look at them.
Should we show them the other flavors?
No,
No.
that's just cruel. There are no other hands raised. So I think we're good with public comment.
Okay. Communications, we just had the two. The, well, oh, this is from, the Park Ridge Laurentide repaving from Tom Bloom. He's one of the neighbors. I don't know where he lives. I know he lives close to Lisa, but that was really nice to hear from them too. And then the thread with, Adam. So when you had mentioned in your report something about the culverts, something about one of the agreements wasn't signed.
Correct.
And I went into a panic. I was like, I know we had them signed. At least we had it approved. So we did track it down. They were signed. They just
Nice.
haven't done the work. But there is a notification that was sent out that the culvert on Knight Road
It's done today.
is finished.
No, they're starting it today.
There's-
It's gonna be finished tomorrow.
Okay. And
Right.
hopefully people will, I think it's gonna be intermittent lane closures.
It's closed, yeah.
It
You
is
gotta go out toward Scio Church. You can't go down that road to Liberty because it's closed.
Okay, okay. That's exciting though.
It is, it is.
We have, and then the West Delhi culvert,
I
is that,
haven't,
did they,
I haven't seen any action on it.
I
Right.
Haven't seen any action on it. Isn't there?
I did see a comment about working some kind of approach off Jackson Road. That they were gonna be working on that today also, but nothing about a culvert.
oh, yeah, that was for the Lithia. I think that they have something to do there and they're gonna need the roadway to,
That's off of Jackson though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's down high off of Jackson, yeah. Whereas the culvert.
right,
The culvert is
is,
between Miller and, well, south of Miller. The one- the one
Hey,
that we
West
looked-
Delhi doesn't intersect with Jackson.
yeah, there's a short,
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah,
Very
there's a
short.
tiny little short section that goes up
My, I guess
towards
I've just never
the,
gone all the way down,
well, the
well,
express.
you can't get there.
It dead end.
You have to go on Jackson and then
go
It's-
around.
it's north of Jackson.
You have to,
And if you kept driving on it, you'd hit the highway, so
Okay.
that's why it's.
oh, okay. And then the culvert is where?
If you go along Miller towards Dexter
Yeah.
and you take a left on West Delhi there, go down that road
Quarter mile.
quarter of a mile. There's a house on the left-hand side, a more modern house.
Mhm.
It's kind of right in that area. Bob and I know because we had to try and find it, so.
Excuse
It's a
me,
big
Ian,
one.
can you bring in Jonathan Greenberg, please? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't looking.
Does anyone know anything about the West Liberty I-94 road closure?
Yes, that is a gas line pipe that they were supposed to finish, what was it 2 weeks ago or a
think
week
so.
ago? Yeah, somebody said in a couple days, so I
Yeah.
figured a couple days and had to turn around. Yeah, it's still shut down, isn't
I
it?
thought maybe it was gonna be completed by the 15th, but it
I'm
was
sure
supposed to be done a couple weeks.
It was
No,
done
25th? Okay.
For sure.
They don't allow gas into Ann Arbor. So, it's a joke. So I don't know. I don't know why they're doing that. Because there is the pipeline that has gone through different counties and they just announced in MLive that was finished. But for some reason, maybe they forgot.
So Chris,
You know
I'm
anything
gonna
about
go.
Chris?
I know the materials are on the bridge. I've walked over it, been
Oh,
over there,
okay.
so they're actively working on it, but
So Chris, how many yards from your house to the bridge?
oh, not far. It's probably, 3/8 of a mile, something like that. So it's been an inconvenience to say the least.
Yeah.
I just was curious if there was a timeline.
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry. Well, okay, communications, so with Adam, we just had that back and forth, it's taken care of. Oh, the next thing, discussion, under discussion, tasks and, action items. So some of these, this is just to keep track of everything that we have been doing and planning on doing. And then when there's something we actually have to work on, I pull that off and put it into the unfinished business or new business. There it is. Okay. Yes, first thing on the list, anything in red is we need to address. So there is a newsletter deadline for December 2nd. Would anybody like to volunteer to have a little blurb? We need to keep roads in the public eye in some way, even if it's just a little bit. And we did the last newsletter, helping the fire department with the clearing for the addresses, so the fire department could see the addresses. That was our way of contributing at that time.
Could we do an update on projects that have been completed this year? Or the ones we're putting on the table for next year, just to alert people to what township is doing for local roads?
You know what, that's a good idea. Why don't we have a little blurb about what we accomplished this past year regarding the roads that we had chosen to improve?
And note the almost a cookie award.
Yeah, right down here. You should put that in there and then put a little star or a note. Cookies accepted. No, that we can't do that. Yeah, so I need to write a newsletter supervisor column. And if somebody could take this on, or two people contribute. Come on, Chris, no. No, you have,
Chris and I will work on
You and I'll work on
you have a lot to do.
it.
Why don't you let me and Pat work on it?
it, get the team back together.
Yeah. Chris, you got lots to do.
Okay,
We'll
that's,
work on it.
You should,
thank you.
should cross that out.
What's the
fast.
deadline?
Yeah, I did.
It has to be to Mary by December 2nd, Mary Gillis, our newsletter editor. And it can, anytime before that, of course.
Is there anything like number of words, limitations, all that kind of stuff?
My experience is she finds a way to work around
Yeah.
whatever we give her.
Yeah.
She makes it fit the articles.
Okay,
She's never put a limit on the number of words.
so in other words, don't write the great American novel.
Not 500, yeah, just something short and sweet. This is what we're doing, this is who we are.
We should go out and see if we can get a good photo out there.
Oh, Park Ridge,
Yeah.
can we include a photo?
Oh, yeah.
With the cookies.
Yeah.
Ian with the cookies.
Ian doesn't need the cookies.
There wouldn't be any cookies left if we gave it again.
Do we want to use the list off of the 2024 road agreement? or what?
Yeah, we'll just use that. Might be like a stupidly obvious question. 2025. I saw in the tasks, I think, or somewhere in an agenda item for today, we're gonna be talking about potential for 2025 road improvements.
We need to begin on that.
Right, do residents get to chime in? I mean, do they, is there, has there been anybody, like, do you want your road to be improved right to the rack kind of thing, or? Has there ever been like that, or?
Usually what we do is when we receive complaints, at least that's what because this last year was the first year that we actually included neighborhood roads, because before that it was the township wide.
Right.
But so yeah, like the Park Ridge, Laurentide paving, that's been a complaint for 25 years.
Right.
So we thought that was important. There was another lamplighter.
We don't do that with, I mean, people who are asking for being here.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
Remodels.
Well, that's a paving, so that's another thing we're gonna have to talk about, how many paving jobs are we going to do per year? And of course, we don't have a budget. Or a set budget, we can ask the board for general fund. But I think that we should include, because we're gonna have to keep up on the paving. And also the rotation. Which we're working on the system. I think, well, okay, let's.
Okay, so regarding the newsletter, is there any kind of, somebody that we need to pass the text through to make sure that me, Patrick and I don't say we're paving the roads with gold or something like that, you know, just to be sure we don't. step in it?
Mary Gillis.
She'll be able to,
Mhm.
I mean, more than just editing and all that kind of stuff, it's like making sure that we don't like step in it.
Oh, well,
I'm talking about content. Like making sure that Patrick and I, that like, we
Well,
don't
okay,
say something
then
just
just-
like, ooh, that's not very accurate, or.
then email it to everyone, just don't reply all to,
Okay, so we'll email it to the committee.
yeah, and then we'll reply to just Caroline or Patrick.
Got it.
Is there anything we want to mention, given winter's coming, if it ever arrives?
What would you like, a suggestion?
I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, like, you know. Remember they get beaten up, I don't know, I mean,
Just remember to what?
drive slowly, be
Oh, yeah.
careful, don't park your road if the, you know, roads need to get plowed. All of the
Sometimes
above.
they post things like, you know, keep an extra shovel in your car, or
Yeah.
some bag of sand,
Yeah.
or, you know,
Warm jacket,
warm
you know,
jacket.
Yeah.
Hat and clothes.
Mhm.
just a thought.
Okay,
Would it make sense to remind people about the road commission's policy, what we can expect from them in terms of snow removal? It's a different part of roads, but it's not part of our responsibility, but it's a news.
oh, such as,
Like if there's a minimum of, let's say.
2
quarter
inches
inch
or
snow,
4
they
inches
Plow
or-
it a quarter inch or half inch, yeah,
oh, I don't know that.
But we could find that out if it made sense to include
what's
that.
the threshold where they come out and they send the trucks and that type of thing,
Right.
what to prepare for.
Okay. Could you find that out?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, thank you. Now that you have an in with the road
I
commission.
learned a secret when I was a private in the army, never to volunteer for anything. There's a long story behind it, so that's why you don't often see me. doing this.
Okay, so.
Anytime you get a shoulder problem, you know.
Mine's actually locked in the down position.
Okay, so we'll put that together.
And I'll send you that information once I get to it.
Terrific,
Thank you,
thanks.
Dave.
The second. how many weeks is
Got another question.
Sure.
it? 2 weeks.
So looking at the list and reminded, reading the minutes. Reminded of the accident where we talked about dealing with Dale.
Mhm.
And you sent a response, but is there anything we should put on this list or no?
For the newsletter?
No, no,
Oh.
for the list we were discussing.
Well. There's another issue that potentially may come up. KFC property, there's a development that's been in, they've been trying for a couple of years, they're coming back. They've resubmitted and. That's right at that same spot, like,
I drove over there and I
Yeah.
thought of,
in fact, the traffic study, that's what Fran sent us, and there's not much in there. So I brought that up at the development meeting the other day regarding, okay, we're gonna have what potentially 46 more homes, and then you double that, thinking there's 2 people that are driving from those. This is gonna be a nightmare, and they said the road commission said the study is fine. the roads are fine. And I said, well, have they contacted the sheriff department? Because the sheriff department knows there's a lot of accidents there. Or even the fire department. That wasn't the first time there was an accident in that curve. So I don't know what we could do about it. I know there's the mailbox issue.
I have a little bit more to add to that.
Oh.
I had a note from Adam that says the Washington County Road Commission does not provide any specification for road box locations within any of their documentations, within any of their regular privies. The only thing they address is the location and the standoff and the height for a mailbox, but they don't dictate whether it should be on this side of the road or this side of the road. He then went and further and said that sheriff's department or Michigan State Police has no, or not vested or not had no opinion on that. It all comes down to the postmaster, who makes that decision on what side the mailboxes should be on. And I was gonna take it a step further, but I was remiss or hesitant in knocking on her door until we had all talked and see what the edict or what her direction was, or what her guidance was.
You just raised your hand to volunteer for me?
So there was.
Well, you're already halfway there, you know?
Sergeant I ever had in the army, me. And he said, which one of you guys has a driver's license? I'm thinking, I go to the motor pool, I could drive the colonel around. Out of 40 guys, I was the only person who raised my hand. And for 3 days, I pushed a wheelbarrow of gravel around the company air. And I learned to be able to volunteer.
Oh my gosh.
We won't do that to you. We'll give you cookies if you.
This is a lot more fun,
Yeah.
unless you like wheelbarrows.
So you would need to call the stadium office.
Yes.
Okay,
The postmaster, okay.
I can't remember the postmaster's name, but.
Postmaster.
Postmaster.
Regardless of gender.
I think it's a lady, a mistress, no.
Person, person.
There you go. Person.
Well, yeah. That mail carrier.
We have Postman Pat in the UK. So
Just sort of generic postman.
it's TV program.
Moving on. The road and culvert prioritization inventory list, always a mouthful. So the southeast, okay, this is where, all right, we need to figure out, are we gonna use the roadsoft? Or just go for a GIS, which we don't have funding for, but. So when they sent you the information for the roadsoft, I did go to that website and it kind of sounded like that's what we needed or could use, but I don't know. Did you check it out? Because you're the one that's gonna have to transfer.
I did check it out, albeit briefly, and I thought it was. I don't know what their licensing was, to be honest. It looked like it was free, but it seemed wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pay a ton of attention to it.
Well, we need to do
It
something.
was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I looked when you sent it and, now my brain is fried and I'm on to other things.
Well, we need to do something to keep track of. Because that's going to be how we determine with a rotation, the roads for the future.
I would leave it in an Excel spreadsheet. Why make why make it more complicated? Build out the spreadsheet, put years in there and just track it like we did before. Then it's real simple. Everybody can read it.
Okay, but eventually we're gonna have to become more professional than that. I think Ian
I
may be
work in a
right.
huge corporation and we use Excel for a lot of things.
Really?
Because
Because
it's the subscriptions for each one of us to be able to access it. When,
the GIS?
no, for the roadsoft, for the.
Don't make it complicated when you don't need to. That's my technical advice. Well, Kristen, I can evaluate if you want. I'm happy to do that. But it's not rocket science. This is a pretty basic document,
Okay.
And that's my advice, but you can.
Maybe
disagree
start
otherwise.
there and then see how that goes.
Yeah, I guess eventually,
And if
all
it's-
right.
If it's up to snuff, then
I mean, the thing with Excel is you can craft it to whatever you want it to be. So, you know, if you want to start putting more stuff in there, there's nothing stopping you. I don't know the other piece of software, but I would keep life simple.
All right, then we've already completed the northeast, the northwest. And now we need to do the southeast and the southwest.
So I met with Roy. I understand how he does it. He was very, very helpful.
Okay.
And in looking at some of the other quadrants as we did, using the spreadsheet at the same time, we came to the conclusion that all the data is already in there. And we don't know why, how, where it came from, or anything else. But if you look, if you look in the spreadsheet, I'm not like staking my reputation on this, but it looks fairly full. I have no idea why or how.
How
So
did the other two quadrants have,
it's all in there. Because if you look at the spreadsheet, it's got the road name, and then the next column is the quadrant that it lives in. And a lot of the quadrants are in there already. So I don't know where it came from, but
did Roy already do that?
Roy didn't do it. He's like, I don't know where that came from.
You said this is on the website? Where you
No,
So
said,
in
it's
the-
an Excel spreadsheet.
but where is this being, where did you find this?
Well, it's kind of, I don't know the genesis of it originally, but it's kind of been worked on. And, you know, Roy gave me something and then I edited it. And I don't know the history of it, but I know that I've got it and there's quite a bit of data in there.
And what spreadsheet is this?
It's the ones we've been looking
The one that
at.
we've been looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So can we volunteer David in his next conversation with Adam? to find out?
I think the next step is for me to just go over it and really review whether everything's in there. And if
Okay.
there is, we've got it, we roll with it.
All right,
And then I'll, you know, make it available.
well,
Would that
okay,
same source be necessary to keep it updated?
I mean, as the township changes, you need to update it.
Yeah.
But it is,
We won't.
it's a spreadsheet, so it's updatable.
It's
Right,
Excel.
we gotta get the data from someplace.
Yeah, but we won't have any new public roads.
So
Any
we're
new
also
road would be-
monitoring what happens to them, right?
Yes.
So
Correct.
that data changes it anyway.
Oh, yes, that's, okay, I thought you meant adding
Right.
new
And
roads,
that was
but
the
you mean
point.
the construction part of it.
That was the
okay.
point I was making earlier on. The nice thing of Excel is yeah, okay, well, now we want to put a pacer index on it,
Mhm.
which represents the quality of the road.
Mhm.
You know, it's rough, it's getting broken up, it's a high maintenance road, whatever you want, you just add it in there.
Okay,
And that's why I like it, it's just easy. I mean, the one thing is eventually I would like to document on SharePoint or something like that, where everybody can get to it. You know, right now I've got it here, which is not ideal. So getting it somewhere where everybody can access it on a shared drive would make a lot of sense.
when Chris Bailey comes back,
I can talk to you.
okay. All right, and he is coming back December 9th.
December, I said it today at the meeting,
sixth,
December
yeah.
7th, December 9th, something
Just
like that,
under a
yeah.
month.
Early December.
And I mean, I've got so many of these documents, I have to look at the date to see which one is the most recent. So once we've got something we like, you know, we can kind of roll with it.
Okay, and we'll also need, a list of the culverts. Because we will need to, for our capital improvement plan, include culverts, so we are saving towards,
Yep.
we won't get another grant
I
because,
think
or
that's,
not another ARPA fund grant.
I think that's something we can just roll into the document and make it a separate tab.
And we'll need to get that map. All the culverts and then, I mean, over certain sites, right? And I did try looking for the updated, I gave up,
I did either.
David. When you talk to Adam, could you get an updated map, pacer map for culverts? I don't know if that's what it's called, but
For the culverts that need attention.
Yeah,
They have one that, says poor and fair and good.
and maybe, I don't know if that's all they show, or do they show all of them and then rate them? Is that, or,
All of them over a certain size, I can remember, if
Yes.
it's 8 inches or 10
Okay.
inches bigger.
we'll need a list of those.
David, are you remembering that comment? Don't volunteer for it.
I vividly remember.
Well,
Well, it was on their website, but I can't find the updated one.
right, that's the problem. Okay,
There might be something on this, I'm just looking at michigan.gov site where it's got, this is what Roy gave me.
what is that?
I clicked on culverts and it started showing me culverts. So it might be that we can figure it out.
I thought I remember seeing a culvert map somewhere.
We have,
I'm just-
from Washtenaw Road Commission.
Yeah, it's outdated though. Some of those we've improved, and
Okay.
so the rating will change. I don't know if they update the map every 2 years, but it doesn't seem like it's that often. But anyway, we just need to include that. All right, so we're going to table the GIS road soft system.
I think Chris and I could take a look.
Well, but let's, how about if we just get everything onto the Excel, because it should be pretty easy to transfer to any other program. Possibly.
There's not that much data.
So it was pretty universal.
Okay, the capital improvement plan and the budget request, that's under unfinished business. So let's just skip over to the history and maintenance, or the history list for public and private roads. And Caroline, you had texted me earlier, so if you could give us an update on that, please.
I tabled this until after the election. And so now that the election is all over, I will be picking up where I left off with gusto, so. Digging through files. I dug through one whole drawer already here in Township Hall,
Wow.
before. So now I just gotta go into that second drawer, which is by the copy room. Start like digging through all those, that drawer that you showed me by the copy room, kind of all back through there. And then after that, I get to go to the basement.
Yeah. And somehow that information will have to,
Yeah.
with Ian.
Because that's the stuff for the spreadsheet, like when it was last touched, given love. Yeah.
It'll be exciting when it's all done.
Mhm.
All right, special assessments, nuts and bolts, that's still over with the attorney. We've had quite a few things that have come up that we've needed legal advice, so she's been bombarded. She'll get to it. I told her it's important, but we can wait. And then I was thinking, since the public roads are fresh on our minds, which never mind, it's on the list under new business. We'll talk about it then. Still waiting to, this is something I have to write down to do again, or to connect with our finance director and the clerk regarding the township improvement revolving fund and get that cleaned up or finished, but Ally has to go through the history and figure out the receipting. The money's off. Then the next thing on the list is the resolutions to return the engineering costs to Lamplighter, Pheasant Drive and Park Ridge Drive SADs. I have been working on this. I created a resolution for each and I sent it over to legal, and there's still some issues that need to be worked out. But some things came up as I was writing these resolutions that I didn't see before. So one of the things is that we've had these two SADs Lamplighter and of course Park Ridge, that did not make it to completion. Well, at one point, they had to say to the township, we don't want this, but I can't find record of that. So I think, and then I talked with Mariah and I said, I know it's not in, it's not in the statute, but could we have a policy that says if we start the process and then the neighborhood, the district says, you know, that's just too expensive or whatever, we don't want to move forward, could we have something that the board, you know, just puts that to bed, you know, so we have a record of it? We don't want residents later on coming back, hey, you didn't finish our SAD and we want their whatever, they would have to start the process over. And she said we absolutely could.
So that would be something that the board would decide, not something that the residents sign off on.
Well, so the residents would come and speak and to the board and say, we don't want to do this because it's too much money, we thought it was gonna be less, blah, blah, blah. And the board more than likely will say, okay. I mean, they're not gonna impose.
So is it the neighborhood representative that's gonna be speaking for the neighborhood? I mean, if you have 30 houses and 3 show up and say we don't want it, but the other like 20 wanted it, just didn't show up for the board meeting. How do you close that loop?
Well, see, that's another,
You understand what I'm
and
asking?
maybe what we could have is a petition.
A petition?
That's part of the process. You look at the process of the flow chart. And we're saying you have to get 2/3 of the people to say yes, right?
Yeah, but this is after,
But this is after that.
Yes, and there's supposed to be a follow-up meeting for the detailed cost.
Right.
And at that point, the neighborhood has the right to say
But
no.
I'm just saying that if you have 30 houses, how do you be sure that you have the majority saying we're pulling the plug? You had the 70% or whatever it was to start the process in the first petition. But if after the detailed cost, the neighborhood says, you know what, forget it, this is. If the how do we know that,
There was another meeting after that with the township.
but how do you know all of the residents are represented? I mean, that all the
If they
ones that
don't
wanted
attend.
it are represented.
Well, but that's where you had a neighborhood resident,
representative, right,
and they have to represent the people.
right,
Well,
okay.
you can only rely on
Hopefully
the
neighborhood
designate.
representative
Correctly
and the rest of
represent.
the neighborhood saying like,
Well,
no, wait a minute, we want
That's
that.
part of the process.
well,
They
and
select a neighborhood leader, if
we
you wanna
could,
call it that.
yeah, we have the neighborhood rep, but we could include if in the process that if they choose not to pursue it, that, yeah, that they could they could sign a letter or have the majority of residents sign no, we don't want this anymore. I don't know what we would call it. But, you know, I just want to make sure that we don't have loose ends. I mean, going through these past SADs and trying to find the timeline and piecing it together, and then it's like it never happened. But when did they say that it wasn't gonna happen? What board meeting? And I know we keep better records than we did in the past, but that's just the one thing that popped out to me. There's other things, but
But that's a separate issue than what Carolyn is talking about.
Yeah, I think that.
That's separate. That's after they decide they don't want it.
that's what we're saying.
And then the township's gotta say, okay, we're not doing it, and that's gotta be documented,
Yeah,
okay? That's a separate issue than 3 people out of the 30 saying, oh, I didn't want this. You
I'm
gotta
just saying
give
the
all-
neighborhood, the role of the neighborhood representative in the public SAD process that we put together is an information conduit, not a decision maker.
Correct,
So,
but they're representing
right.
the neighborhood.
So when the neighborhood representative comes here and says, you know, West Street's pulling the plug on the project, we're just gonna have to trust that he really did communicate this, and is really communicating accurately the neighborhood's desire.
But there was another meeting after the detailed cost, another public meeting
Right,
with the township
right.
to where they agree or disagree to go forward now that they have detailed cost. That was part of the
No,
process.
I
Well,
understand what you're saying.
yeah, but
Bob.
wait. The detailed costs, we don't know the detailed costs until the last public hearing where we set the role. That's after the construction's done and all of that. We're talking about yeah,
No, there was detailed engineering cost ahead of construction, if you look at the process.
it can't,
No.
that's
There
it.
was an estimate and then there was a detail.
There's a detailed estimate greater than 10% ballpark
Yes.
estimate.
Well, we can't do a detailed estimate. Or detailed, so wait, say that again?
The estimate, it's an estimate. There was the initial ballpark that when Caroline's neighborhood comes there and she says, we're thinking of getting the roads paved, and we talked to Chris and he says, it's generally, West Street is this long, roughly gonna cost this, and right kind of off the get, I can go back to my neighbors and say, and kind of yes or no, boom, yes, move forward. Get the petition signed, which means we're serious about moving forward, have the X number percentage that we're asking for. And then the road commission, everybody comes out and they kind of walk around and they start kind of pulling together a as detailed an estimate as they can. It's not cost, but it's estimate, I mean, as best as they can. And then after that, there's another opportunity. So, but yeah, so I guess my point is that new figure.
Okay, so at any point when there's an end. Well, it's gotta, but this has to be after the district is created. Because the board, that's when the board approves the district. So we know the district, but after the district's created and it comes back to, the detailed estimate is 300,000 more than the original, and we don't want to do that. That's when the end. I mean, anytime before that, it hasn't been in front of the board, so they don't have to move forward with it or not unless they have enough signatures on the petition. But I'm talking about after the board has set the district. If it falls apart, we need to have something to show or in the documentation that it's ended.
Right.
But that should be, this document here is for the public.
Right, no, I'm talking, this is for
That's
in
a
the policies.
Policy, yeah.
Because the township, remember, I mean, we're the experts here on SADs as much as we are. We have more knowledge than the board does. It's gonna go in front of them and, we're gonna provide the policy and also for the staff for them to follow. And as we're coming up with, here's this, we found that after it's the district and it falls apart, where's the documentation at the township level that shows that it's ended? I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah, there should be something that definitely formalizes the termination. Absolutely. I guess my point is that if it's 300,000 more than the ballpark estimate but the residents may be willing to cough up.
Well, they may want to move forward with it.
They
but
may want to
not.
move forward with it, but the question is it making sure that that percentage majority that we're asking for is represented in this decision, yay or nay?
You do have the flow chart up. I have a flow chart up here.
Yeah,
Well, he did.
I did. I still do. We need it.
And here, PM and WCRC develop detailed plans and cost. PM, WCRC meet with NR to discuss.
Right.
Cost exceeds estimated cost by 10%. Yes, public hearing. You get everybody back together. Proceed, yes, proceed. No.
And that's assuming everybody comes to the public hearing, right?
Well,
No, I
So
know
we-
that, I know that, but you're talking about a significant termination here. I mean, if you have two people come to the public hearing and they say, no, we don't want it, but there's 15 or 20 other people on the street that really do want it,
Because they've already
could-
signed the petitions.
because they've already signed the petition and they can't come to the public meeting or can't zoom in or whatever. I'm just saying that,
but that's your 65% you already achieved. If two people come, you haven't overcome the 65%.
That's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. If the district wants to end it because of the cost, then what is the procedure for that? Even though they've signed the 65% petition or 60, yeah.
but that was
65.
based on a particular cost that now has been, let's say, blown out. Let's say $100,000 more, it's 25% more, or whatever. and the neighborhood decides yes or no to continue, they might decide to continue, they want it bad enough and they're willing to put, shoulder
Is
the
that in
costs. I
Merlin-
mean,
in Merlin
it's
Way?
very possible. I guess I'm just saying that,
Should we have something from the NR with, that proves that
They floated an email roster or something. to
Something.
people?
so yeah, that's something like that. I
We
mean,
need a
just,
piece of paper.
Yeah, because we were assuming the public hearing people will attend, but if they do not, you could certainly, I don't know, add it to a checklist for the NR.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I mean, the NR producing something to the board that they did reach out and that there was
Proof of contact.
proof of contact. So the NR isn't just kind of just making just saying, you know what, let's go. And the rest of the residents are going like, holy crap, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You're assuming great relations between the NR and the neighborhood, and you're assuming, there's a lot of assumptions made here, but you're talking about people's tax dollars that are gonna be on the hook. And I'd be pretty mad if he went ahead with it just because he or she wanted the road,
well,
Another assumption built into this, and you said it earlier, is you're assuming that this person is a representative and they are designated to represent the community to the board.
right?
But really, we were looking up till this point for somebody that would work between the road commission and the community to make for sure things ran smoothly, people were informed. That's a
Right.
different skill set, a different kind of person. It could be the same, but it doesn't have to be. And we want that piece of paper that is gonna hold up later on, as somebody 20 years from now is digging in the files, right?
Yeah, like that.
and they could bring that to a public hearing, even if it's a sheet that's signed and saying this is the majority of this district says, no, we don't want to move forward, but we need to have some type of evidence. And then if the board says, okay, we're terminating it, then this is the documentation that will go into that file. Because maybe down the road, they'll say, you know what, let's try again. I mean, we saw that with Park Ridge.
Yeah,
Well, it's just something that we can add to our policies. I
so
mean,
this is a policy thing we're talking about for the
yeah,
policy.
yeah, not for,
Not for the nuts and bolts, okay? Nuts and bolts, leave it the way it is.
Do we want to, in addition to the spreadsheet, take just a single line punch list or checklist as a last piece for that? Because different people can interpret the flow charts depending on how they read it, but if you had a punch list that said, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, it's very similar. It's really just the same data in a different format.
Well, I think we need to add in verbiage. See, this public hearing happens if the cost exceeds. So maybe in the verbiage, we need to say, at this public hearing, there needs to be documentation that the residents either want or don't want, now that the cost exceeded. Basically, the petition that started it, the 65%, you need to recanvass and get an updated petition.
Yeah, an updated position, or what Linda was talking about, proof of context, something that shows that the NR really did say, hey, guys, this is it, and so that with a clear conscience, the board can say, okay, we can terminate this because the residents said they wanted it.
so say that again, at this public
Well,
hearing.
I'm talking
I
about a
like that.
public hearing where the cost exceeds estimated cost by 10%.
Mhm.
We're saying if that's a yes, then you gotta have a public hearing.
Mhm.
I'm saying a requirement or an input to that public hearing is a redocumentation of the original petition, if you want to call it that. So that you still have the percentage that we said we needed in order to go forward with this ad.
Oh, so we could even keep it at the 65%?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, the percentage is the percentage is percentage.
And that way the neighborhood resident is protected.
Yeah, right,
And it's documented
right.
in the story.
Okay, input or redocumentation of the petition to terminate. The same,
No, not terminate. It's redocumentation of the petition
Validate.
To validate, it's to
Cost.
validate the original petition.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So instead of terminate, it's say, okay,
It's
we're
not-
still on board.
It's
Yay.
either yes or no. Cost went up 10% or greater than 10%.
Do you want to keep it?
Do we
yes or
still
no?
want to do this? 65% say, yeah, we still want to do it. Okay, then we're gonna do it.
Right.
If it's only, 55%, then okay, hold the presses.
So just a redocumentation of the petition.
If
Okay.
the cost exceeds estimated cost by 10%, greater than 10%.
So I think the initial petition has to actually be signed by people,
Right.
I mean, physical, not emails.
Mhm.
But could the second validation, because people start to go to Florida, and, I can't get in touch with them because it's Christmas vacation and they're, yeah. But could we allow email on this second
Why not?
piece?
In lieu of-
Just
in
in
lieu of
lieu,
a
in lieu of
signature?
physical signatures, because it's monotonous and hard to go and knock on people's door
It
and
is.
find them at home to get their signature.
As long as we have the first one.
Yes, if you have the first
Yeah,
one,
and
that's by law, it has to be done that way.
And as long as a neighborhood resident can show you the documentation, they got the email that says yes or no.
Right, right.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's appended, attached to the
Yes.
petition.
Yes.
Well, okay, why don't we create a form and then, because anybody could just type out somebody's name, but then we'd have to have other information on there.
please attach email contacts and on the initial form that they do have to sign, we probably need to add a column.
Mhm.
And I think if we provided forms, it would be an excellent idea, actually, because it will just facilitate things being done correctly as opposed to there's big pieces missing.
I'm very supportive of this. When we did ours, we have 132 homes.
It's a lot of.
And we had everybody, we had signed people on board to take 10, 15, and then I took a bunch to have to go back to all those people. I think it would die.
You're like, you're stuck, we're going through with this sad.
So I like I think it's important to close the books. But this is a sort of much simpler idea, which is send an email out.
Create a group, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think that's a really wonderful solution to what would be a big problem.
Yeah. And supposedly the NR has already created like
Contact.
some kind of social media, email group, Gmail block or whatever to contact. So it'd be
We
easy.
just have to make sure that they didn't live off Mrs. Jones because they didn't like Mrs. Jones.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Well, you can take that document, that form to the public hearing. And those that show up at the public hearing, they can sign either way. And that could be hopefully the majority of the people in the subdivision or wherever.
What about the Zoom people?
Excuse me?
What about the Zoom people?
Have to send them an email.
Well, that's the email.
That's the email, okay.
Yeah.
There's an neighborhood software program that, somebody asked me to join.
Next door.
It's something like that, so everybody in the neighborhood,
Right.
one person gets it. and
Probably
everybody in the
next door.
neighborhood Gets it.
Next door, yeah.
Oh,
But that also goes to thousands of other people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be the district itself, it would be
Yeah.
whatever next door has decided your neighborhood's name
They're
is.
quite,
the
they're quite
boundary.
picky about their policies as well, so.
But this is up to the NR, to gather, if the NR is receiving complaints that, wow, this is really expensive, there's a lot of people that don't want to go through with it, but I'm hearing some do, then this is what you do. Here's your form. Go from there, and then we'll see you at the public hearing.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good. Okay, well, this is good. We have more to add to our list of things to do, but this, I think when we have this policy in place, it's gonna be,
National standard.
yeah,
And when you're going through the files, if you find one of the SADs that has the initial form, I think it's literally just name, address, listing the
Petition.
yes, for the petition, listing the resolution for the petition at the top. Seen them, but I don't think it's a state form. I think it's just something.
No,
that
we-
was created.
Something that
yeah,
the
we
township
create
just
it.
created.
We
But
can't
probably-
really create a petition. I mean, we can,
I'm in a format, and
Yeah,
you attach
form-
the
right.
wording at the top once you
Right.
have it.
Right.
because the boundaries of the neighborhood will be different and.
The petition that we circulated to stop our SAD,
You created that.
Was that, I mean, that was totally great, because it had text and it had all this, I mean, it looked like a formal document.
Somebody created that. It wasn't here at the township.
Did a
Find
good
that
job. It
person.
looked very professional.
Yeah, find that person.
I thought Leanne did that,
She may have. Or Kim.
or Kim.
Oh, okay.
You still have a copy of that? Was it on through email at all?
No, I mean, it was physical paper that we took, we knocked on doors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they brought it to that meeting.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'll ask Leanne if she was one that made it, because I mean, it
Yeah,
looked
if we
very
can get a
official. I
copy
mean,
of that, that would be great, just so we could
it
see
had the
the.
parcel number, and I mean, all that, it's just really.
I think the parcel number is part of it, actually, on the initial. one.
Yeah.
I think that's a requirement with your signature.
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
Okay, well, for now, we'll get to the. Well, we'll see how much more we have to talk about on new business with this policy, but it's okay. The DDA roads. So you attended, you were there. I know you weren't feeling very well. You're really quiet. I did attend. I was a half hour late. I was coming from another development meeting, but, yeah, I suggested, because the supervisor is the CEO. Yeah, the CEO by statute to the DDA. So I suggested to the chair that we have a meeting the beginning of December. And part of the reason is because the township, we will be looking at our capital improvement plan at the December 17th meeting. And we need all committees, and hopefully make sure that Christie sends that out to all committees, because we're gonna scramble. Capital improvement plan really isn't that hard to put together. It's, you want to have the capital improvement plan in order for you to know what to put aside for through your budget. And the capital improvement plan by statute has to be, whatever you want to do has to be listed in general priority. So you could have something on there that is, your 10 years from now, this is what we want to do, and you can start saving for that. But there's the most important that you want to work on is that this, so you don't want to have like a huge list, but anyways, that's what we plan, and Bob seemed to be open to that, whatever second Monday that was. And there's, yeah, with the new board, there's gonna be a lot of changes, just like there is every 4 years when there is a new board. So, we'll see how everything goes and how it's going to unfold. And Judy's gonna be in charge of it all.
You need to contact Christie for the second Monday in December to try and get a room.
Would you please?
Okay, do we want to do it at noon, or do we want to do it at 5, or do we want to, what?
Let's just stick to the same schedule at noon. Yeah, at this point, and we can always change that later, but.
Sure. We'll call it RACDDA.
Yeah, not 8 o'clock in the morning, please. I can't believe somebody said that. I was like, what? I think, yeah. Anyway, what else was discussed at the DDA? Judy, you were there too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't wanna
No.
interrupt Linda.
Well, we were sort of noodling our way through the concept that the fire department millage that was just passed. The DDA captures a portion of that as a millage, and they estimate it would be about $250,000 a year that the DDA would capture of the fire millage. The intention would be those funds should probably go back to the fire department, but the new fire department annex, or the new building they're talking about building, is not in the DDA district. So the DDA cannot fund things that are not outside of the DDA district, but we can fund fire, or we could fund equipment, we could fund, improvement of the hydrants someone brought up, other improvements. So the concept is, we also have to create a budget coming up here. So the DDA won't have those funds until the 2025 winter tax has been collected, but it's anticipated that they will come. The fire department's trying to put together a fund for a new hook and ladder truck, which is a 600-day pre-order. So that once they have a commitment for the funds, they can order the truck. They don't have to pay for the whole thing up front. But they do want to know that they have money to pay for it. It's anticipated that after January 2025, the cost is going to increase 3 to 5% on this blessed truck.
How much?
What did they say? They said they had everything but $500,000 or $600,000 towards it. $1.9 million for the truck, I think. It's an anticipated 15-year lifespan truck. It would be the kind of truck that both you could use as a safe ladder to get up onto a roof of a 2-story or higher building, but also would have the water cannon that you can get up and level into windows for a more accurate fire extinguishing in a high rise. And I was having this discussion with someone shortly after, and they said, we don't have that many high rises in Scio Township. And I said, no, look around and start counting. How many buildings are taller than 2 stories as you drive down the street? There's quite a few.
Well, and there's the theater. That's there, that will be multi-family. Is it 4 stories? And they're talking about if they have a TIF there, they're gonna go up to 5 or 6 stories. Potentially.
So that was
So-
the larger part of the DDA meeting this week. Was, anticipating our budget coming up and where we wanted to put money and what roads we wanted to improve in 2025. How funds should be allocated.
And the old station, the first station is in the DDA.
Yes.
So that's, yeah. Yeah, so we'll let you know, well, our next meeting. The DDA meeting will be before,
The next DDA meeting is January 13.
well, if we have a special meeting, then
We
that
have
would
a
be,
special meeting between now and then, the second Tuesday or second
and what is that date? The
second Monday of December. I have my phone out.
Aren't we adding staff to the Zeeb station?
We have hired the last for that station. Well,
We're adding staff to the Zeeb station. That was part of the.
Yeah.
Correct. Won't that more than cover $250,000?
oh, you mean in salary?
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, money is fungible.
And I haven't,
December 9.